The stars glittered like scattered diamonds across the vast darkness, each one a world waiting to be explored. Among them, the human colonies shone with quiet ambition. After centuries of slow expansion, humanity had finally stepped beyond their solar system, building thriving communities on planets once thought uninhabitable. Their ships moved swiftly through the void, carrying engineers, scientists, and dreamers to new frontiers. But not all eyes watching the humans were friendly. High above in the glittering halls of the Galaxy Council, a coalition of the oldest alien civilizations, concern had grown into unease. The Council prided itself on order, control, and wisdom. Humanity was unpredictable, sometimes reckless, often bold, and always fast to adapt. That was admirable in some ways, but dangerous in others. "Have you seen the reports from Sector 9? A counselor asked, her many eyes narrowing in the dim chamber. "Human resources are stabilizing far faster than expected. They've repaired the supply hubs in less than half the projected time." Another counselor clicked his mandibles in irritation. "They adapt too quickly. If we allow this pace to continue unchecked, they might reach technological parity with us in mere decades." A third, older than memory itself, leaned forward. "Then we cannot allow them to continue freely. We will offer aid, but only what keeps them dependent. Resources, guidance, infrastructure, all must remain under our control." Thus began the subtle betrayal. Humans, unaware of the Council's hidden manipulations, continued their work with usual optimism. On Nova Prime, one of humanity's most ambitious colonies, Dr. Elena Kaur walked the clean, shining corridors of the Central Research Hub. Her eyes, bright with curiosity, scanned the screens before her. Something was wrong. Power fluctuations flickered across the colony's main systems. Supplies that should have arrived weeks ago were delayed indefinitely. Communications with other colonies showed signs of interference. At first, Elena thought it was a natural anomaly. Space was unpredictable after all. But the pattern was too consistent, too deliberate. "Captain Voss," she called into her communicator, "can you review the fleet logs? Something isn't right." A calm, steady voice replied, "Already on it, Dr. Kaur, but nothing unusual shows in our records." "Are you sure?" Elena frowned. "I don't know, but the delays, the miscommunications, it feels intentional. I need more eyes on this." Ryan Voss, the colony's fleet captain, had been with humanity's expansion forces since the first interstellar jump. He was known for his quick thinking and steady judgment. Now, as he examined the logs, his brow furrowed. "You might be right. The Council's access protocols, they've been altered, restricted selectively. Someone is controlling the flow of resources." Elena's heart pounded. "But why? The Council has always presented themselves as allies. They claim to guide us, to keep us safe. Why sabotage their own partners?" Ryan shook his head. "Perhaps they see us as a threat, perhaps they're afraid." Fear was not an emotion humans like to admit, but in that moment it crept quietly. The betrayal wasn't open. It was subtle, hidden, and insidious. Humanity had always been cautious, but now they were being tested, not by nature, but by the very beings who had promised cooperation. Meanwhile, news traveled quickly through the colonies. Engineers, scientists, and administrators began reporting delays in construction projects. Energy conduits flickered without explanation. Water filtration systems failed temporarily. Each disruption alone was minor, solvable with human ingenuity. But together they formed a pattern, a silent cord tightening around humanity's expansion. Dr. Kaur gathered a council of human leaders. Around a long oval table, the brightest minds of Nova Prime sat, their faces lined with worry but also determination. "We cannot allow this to continue," Elena said firmly. "If the Council is manipulating our colonies, we must act. But we cannot confront them directly, not yet. They are too powerful, too established. We must find another way." A young engineer spoke up. "We could bypass their systems entirely, build independent power grids, new communication networks, something they cannot control." "Yes," Elena replied, her mind racing. "And if we work together across all colonies, we can turn their interference into a challenge, a test of human ingenuity." Outside the council chamber, the sky of Nova Prime was painted with the light of two suns. Ships glimmered in orbit carrying supplies, explorers, and settlers. Humanity had survived disasters before, on Earth, on Mars, and on distant moons, and each time they had emerged stronger. The betrayal of the Council would be no different. but the path forward was uncertain. The Council had power that spanned sectors, technology that humans had only begun to understand, and influence that could sway neutral civilizations. One mistake could isolate humanity completely. Yet within the heart of every human was a spark that aliens often underestimated: creativity, courage, and an unyielding drive to survive. In the laboratories of Nova Prime, teams worked day and night, devising new systems that did not rely on Council oversight. They repurposed old satellites into autonomous communication relays. They built modular energy hubs that could function independently of Council-supplied cores. Young prodigies invented software that could anticipate system failures before they happened, and engineers designed vehicles that could navigate uncharted routes to bypass controlled sectors. Captain Voss oversaw a fleet of exploration ships, preparing for a mission into the unknown. "We need to find what they cannot predict," he told his crew. "Their power comes from control. If we move beyond their maps, beyond their influence, we regain the advantage." Elena joined him, her mind buzzing with ideas. "And perhaps we find allies along the way. Civilizations the Council overlooks, species who would welcome human ingenuity rather than fear it." Even as the humans acted, the Council watched from their chambers, unaware of the depth of human determination. They saw delays in the colonies and minor deviations in fleet patterns, but they underestimated the speed at which humans could adapt. They did not understand that humanity's strength lay not in raw power, but in flexibility, in the ability to innovate under pressure, and in the courage to face the unknown. For humans, betrayal was not a dead end. It was a challenge, and humanity never backed down from a challenge. By the end of the first week, Nova Prime was stabilized. Supply lines that had been interrupted were rerouted through independent channels. Critical systems were reinforced, with redundancies humans built themselves. Every colony that joined and shared resources and knowledge freely, creating a network stronger than any single Council directive could control. Dr. Core, standing on the observation deck of Nova Prime's tallest tower, looked out over the glowing cities below. Ships streaked across the sky, carrying explorers into space. The hum of engines and the pulse of energy grids was a song of resilience. "Humanity will survive this," she whispered to herself, "and we will emerge stronger. They may have tried to hold us back, but courage is something no Council can take from us." Above the planet, distant stars continued to shine. Among them, one human ship lifted off, its engines blazing against the blackness of space. It was more than a vessel, it was a symbol. Humanity would move forward. They would explore. They would create, and when the time came, they would confront betrayal not with anger, but with courage, ingenuity, and unyielding determination. For the Galaxy Council, the betrayal of humanity might have seemed a quiet victory, but on Nova Prime and across the colonies, the first seeds of a new, unstoppable human resolve had already been sown. The stage was set. The game had begun, and humanity, once underestimated, was ready to play. Humanity did not wait. Nova Prime hummed with activity, every colony alive with engineers, scientists, and explorers working to restore what the Galaxy Council had tried to disrupt. Where the Council had planted obstacles, humans planted ideas, turning problems into opportunities. Captain Ryan Voss paced the bridge of the exploration flagship Dauntless, reviewing the fleet's logs. The delays in supply lines had been corrected, communications restored, and independent energy hubs were now online. Yet, even as the colonies stabilized, one thought pressed heavily on his mind. The Council would not stop at minor sabotage. "They will watch us more closely now," he said to Dr. Elena Core, who was seated beside the tactical console. Her fingers danced across a touch panel, compiling data from every colony connected to Nova Prime's new independent network. "They may watch, but they cannot predict," Elena replied, eyes bright. "Humans do not follow scripts. We adapt, we learn, and we can do so faster than they expect." Ryan nodded. "Then we take the next step. We move beyond what they control." Elena looked out the viewport at the endless stars. There are old charts, ancient maps of sectors no longer used, remnants of civilizations long gone. If we explore them, we might find resources, technology, even knowledge that the Council cannot touch. The decision was made. Humanity would expand boldly into uncharted space. Fleet commanders coordinated with colony engineers to prepare a series of exploratory missions. Each ship was outfitted with redundant energy systems, autonomous navigation, software, and adaptive shields that could respond to environmental hazards. Meanwhile, on Nova Prime, teams of scientists worked tirelessly in laboratories. One group focused on communications, developing a relay network that bypassed Council satellites. Messages could now travel between colonies instantly, without oversight. Another team engineered modular energy cores, capable of powering colonies independently for months, even years. Among the engineers was Lena Merrick, a prodigy just 20 years old. Lena had a unique gift. She could visualize complex systems in her mind, seeing solutions where others saw chaos. When she discovered a flaw in the energy hub design, she did not panic. Instead, she sketched a new design in minutes, one that could self-correct in real time. "This is more than just survival," she told her mentor. "It's a chance to prove that humans can do more than just react. We can lead." Her words echoed through the labs and bridges of the fleet. Humans were not just fixing problems, they were building a future that no council mandate could touch. Captain Voss led a small strike team aboard the Dauntless on a mission to explore the uncharted sector known as the Obsidian Reach. The maps were incomplete, filled with gaps where records had been lost over millennia. Yet the potential was immense. Rumors of alien technology, abandoned stations, and natural resources untouched by any civilization. "Keep the scanners active," Ryan ordered. "We don't know what's out here, but we must be ready for anything." As the Dauntless entered the blackness, Elena joined him on the observation deck. The stars outside seemed sharper, colder, and more infinite than anywhere in known space. "What if the Council finds out?" she asked quietly. Ryan smiled. "They might. But by then we will be beyond their reach, moving faster and smarter than they imagine. Courage isn't about being safe. It's about stepping forward anyway." Days passed as the team navigated the Obsidian Reach. Along the way, they discovered derelict ships, abandoned outposts, and strange anomalies that challenged their understanding of physics. Yet each discovery was a lesson. The humans mapped the sector's carefully cataloged resources and salvaged technology, learning to turn the unknown into an advantage. Back on Nova Prime, other colonies followed suit. Supply chains were reorganized to be fully self-reliant. Agricultural domes now grew food without council interference, and young engineers designed artificial intelligence systems capable of predicting malfunctions and suggesting solutions before they occurred. Even small, unexpected victories lifted morale. A team of human pilots discovered a natural energy field in a distant asteroid belt. With careful study, they turned it into a renewable power source for nearby colonies. Council-controlled sectors had long ignored such natural phenomena, relying on rigid technology instead. Humans, adaptable and observant, thrived where others overlooked. Elena convened a meeting with leaders from the colonies. "The Council believes they control us because they underestimate human creativity," she said. "But we are proving them wrong. Each day we grow stronger not by force but by ingenuity, cooperation, and courage. We are writing a new chapter in human history." The Council of Leaders nodded. There was no fear in their eyes, only determination. They understood that survival required more than tools. It required a spirit humans had honed over millennia. It was a spirit that thrived in adversity, that saw challenges as opportunities. One evening, as Elena reviewed reports of progress, a young researcher approached her with an astonishing discovery. "Dr. Core," he said, voice trembling with excitement. "We found remnants of an ancient network. It's like a library, but encoded in energy patterns. Some of the data suggests technology far beyond what even the Council uses." Elena's eyes widened. "Show me." Together, they accessed the network. Streams of information flowed like rivers of light, blueprints, theories, and recordings of civilizations long extinct. The network had been abandoned for centuries, yet it was intact, waiting for someone clever enough to decipher it. "This could change everything," Elena whispered. "We could learn to travel faster, communicate farther, and build systems the Council could never imagine. Ryan, who had joined her, nodded. And it is ours now. Not stolen, not taken. It was waiting for humans to find it, to use it wisely. The realization spread quickly through the fleet. Humans were no longer just defending themselves, they were innovating at a pace that made the Council uneasy. The colonies became test beds for new ideas, modular habitats that could move from planet to planet, adaptive energy grids that learned from environmental changes, and communication systems that were almost impossible to intercept. The Obsidian Reach expedition returned weeks later, laden with discoveries. The fleet had mapped previously unknown sectors, found untapped energy sources, and retrieved alien technology that would accelerate human development by decades. Yet, the greatest prize was the knowledge that humans could not be stopped. Not by distance, not by politics, not even by the Galaxy Council itself. As the ships docked on Nova Prime, Elena addressed the crews assembled on the landing platform. "Today we have not only explored new space," she said, her voice strong and clear. "We have explored the limits of what humans can achieve when we act with courage and unity. The Council may have tried to hold us back, but we have proven that ingenuity and determination cannot be contained." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Elena raised her hand for silence. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, full of challenges and wonders. We will face them not with fear, but with courage, and we will continue to grow, learn, and thrive, together." From the observation deck, Ryan looked up at the stars. "They underestimated us," he said. "They thought they could control humanity. They were wrong." Elena smiled, a mix of pride and determination shining in her eyes. "They always underestimate humans. It's what makes us, us. But now they will see, not with anger or violence, but with courage, creativity, and the will to never stop moving forward." The colonies continued their work. Communication networks expanded, energy systems became self-sufficient, and exploratory missions pushed further into the uncharted sectors of space. Each day, humans proved that no obstacle, no Council interference could halt their progress. In the halls of the Galaxy Council, reports of human activity reached their chambers. Councilors whispered nervously as fleets returned from missions. Faster than expected, colonies stabilized themselves without assistance, and new technologies emerged that defied their expectations. "This is troubling," one councilor admitted. "They are adapting in ways we cannot predict. Their ingenuity grows every day." Another councilor clicked in frustration. "We controlled them, we guided them, and yet they continue forward as if none of our interference mattered." The eldest councilor, eyes dim with age yet sharp with awareness, leaned back. "Perhaps humans are not meant to be controlled. Perhaps they are meant to move forward, no matter what we do." The halls of the Galaxy Council had never been so tense. Reports continued to arrive from the farthest human colonies, each one telling the same story. Humans were not only surviving sabotage, they were thriving. Each colony had restored itself independently. Systems once controlled by the Council were now entirely autonomous, and new technologies were emerging faster than the Council could comprehend. Councilors, creatures of countless forms and ages, paced their chambers. Tentacles clicked, eyes blinked in unison, and mandibles chattered nervously. "They have bypassed every restriction we placed," hissed one of the younger councilors. "Energy flows independently. Communications are untraceable. Supply lines are secure. How is this possible?" The eldest councilor, whose memory spanned 1,000 cycles, regarded them silently for a moment. Then, in a voice that resonated through the chamber, he said, "They are human. They adapt. They do not rely on control. They rely on creativity, collaboration, and courage. These are not qualities we can regulate." Another councilor slammed a claw against the wall. "We must act. Their fleets are exploring unknown sectors. They are uncovering ancient technologies, creating systems beyond our influence. If they continue, they will surpass us in knowledge, in strategy, and everything we hold dear." But the elder shook his head. To act against them directly would be folly. "They do not respond to intimidation. They respond to opportunity, to challenge. We have underestimated them from the start. That was our first mistake. Our second would be to continue underestimating them now." Meanwhile, in the human colonies, Dr. Elena Kor and Captain Rian Voss were coordinating a series of missions to expand humanity's reach. They had learned that the Council monitored most regions of known space, but there were blind spots, sectors forgotten, uncharted, or abandoned. These sectors became humanity's playground for exploration and innovation. On the flagship Dauntless, Ryan studied new star charts. If we map these sectors, we not only gain resources, he explained to Elena, we also gain knowledge the Council cannot interfere with. Every discovery gives us leverage. Every innovation strengthens our independence. Elena nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight outside the observation deck. And every step reminds us why humans succeed where others might fail. We are not bound by tradition or fear. We are defined by curiosity, cooperation, and courage. The first mission into the Obsidian Reach had been a success, but now humanity aimed higher. Teams of explorers were sent deeper into sectors that had been abandoned for centuries. They encountered strange natural phenomena, magnetic storms that defied conventional science, energy fields that could power entire colonies, and minerals that could be converted into advanced technology. Young engineers and scientists collaborated in ways no single alien civilization could replicate. On one station, a group of prodigies discovered a way to convert a planet's natural radiation into a clean energy source. Another team developed a self-replicating communication network, able to connect distant colonies without using Council satellites. Even the Council's most observant spies struggled to keep up. Reports showed humans moving unpredictably, adapting systems faster than expected, and making decisions based not on hierarchy or orders but on intelligence, observation, and creative problem-solving. This is impossible, one counselor said, his voice trembling. They have no central command. They coordinate too efficiently. How do they do it? They are not a typical species, the elder replied calmly. They learn, they innovate, and they act with courage. We cannot control such a species with rules, directives, or threats. We can only watch and hope. Back on Nova Prime, Elena convened a meeting with leaders from across human colonies. Holographic projections of mapped sectors and data streams filled the room. Engineers, pilots, and researchers shared discoveries and innovations, creating a network of knowledge stronger than any single colony. We are not only surviving the Council's interference, Elena said, her voice firm and inspiring. We are proving something fundamental about humanity. We thrive when challenged. We turn obstacles into opportunities. And we do so together. A young engineer named Jaren Fall spoke up. Dr. Kor, we've analyzed the Council's tactics. They expect linear responses, predictable reactions. But humans are not linear. Every colony adapts differently. Every leader makes independent decisions. We are effectively invisible to their strategy. Helena smiled. Exactly. That is our advantage. Not technology, not strength, not numbers. Our advantage is creativity, courage, and cooperation. These are not things they can measure or control. The news of human success spread quickly across the colonies. Morale soared. Even minor victories, like rerouting a failing energy grid or discovering a hidden asteroid resource, were celebrated with pride. Humanity's progress was no longer just survival. It was innovation at an unprecedented scale. In response, the Council became increasingly frustrated. Fleets were sent to observe human colonies, but their presence had little effect. Humans learned to anticipate and adapt, using every Council maneuver as a lesson. Where the Council thought they could intimidate, humans used ingenuity. Where they tried to block resources, humans found alternative solutions. On one particular mission, Captain Voss and his team discovered an abandoned alien station floating in the void. Its systems were dormant but intact. Using human ingenuity, they repaired and repurposed the station as a research hub. Within weeks, it became a critical node for interstellar exploration, helping to map previously unknown sectors and catalog resources. This is remarkable, Elena said as she reviewed the data. Every discovery, every adaptation strengthens us. The Council may control the past and the present, but they cannot control human potential. Even the youngest humans began to demonstrate qualities that surprised the elders. Teen engineers, explorers, and scientists came up with ideas that even the most experienced adults had overlooked. They proposed energy systems that repaired themselves, communication protocols that learned from failures, and vehicles capable of navigating space anomalies automatically. The Council, observing these developments, grew increasingly anxious. They learned too quickly, one counselor admitted. Our methods of control do not apply. Every obstacle we place is merely a step for them. Every restriction is a challenge they overcome. The elder counselor, silent for most of the session, finally spoke. Humans are not merely surviving. They are evolving in ways we cannot predict. Their strength is not in physical power or control, but in courage, creativity, and unity. Perhaps we cannot dominate them. Perhaps the only way to engage with humans is to respect their spirit. Meanwhile, humanity's courage inspired one unexpected development: diplomacy. While the council focused on control, humans began reaching out to other civilizations that had been overlooked or ignored. Using transparency, ethics, and mutual benefit as their guide, they formed alliances not through intimidation, but through shared curiosity and cooperation. Colonies sent envoys to neutral civilizations, offering knowledge, resources, and collaboration. Many responded positively, intrigued by humanity's audacity and ethical approach. Humans were showing that strength need not come from domination. It could come from courage, creativity, and integrity. Back on Nova Prime, Elena and Ryan observed the progress with pride. "They underestimated us," Ryan said quietly. "Yes," Elena replied. "And that will be their mistake. We are not just responding, we are leading. We are showing the galaxy what humans are capable of when we act together, when we face challenges with courage, and when we refuse to be controlled." The stars outside glimmered with possibility. Every exploration, every innovation, every new colony marked a victory not just for survival, but for the human spirit. Humanity's courage had turned betrayal into opportunity, adversity into discovery, and obstacles into stepping stones toward greatness. In the halls of the Galaxy Council, whispers grew. "Perhaps we have misjudged them," one counselor admitted. "Perhaps their future is not ours to control." The elder counselor remained silent, eyes fixed on the glowing projections of human progress. "They are unpredictable, clever, and courageous," he murmured. "And that is why they endure." By the end of Part 3, humanity had confounded the Galaxy Council in ways no one could have imagined. They were no longer victims of sabotage. They were innovators, explorers, and leaders. Their courage, creativity, and cooperation had turned every obstacle into a step forward, proving that human potential was a force even the most powerful civilizations could not contain. The Council could watch. They could attempt to interfere. But humans had already shown the galaxy that courage, intelligence, and unity were far stronger than manipulation. The story of betrayal had become a story of triumph. Humanity was rising, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. Word count: 500 words. The galaxy had begun to notice the humans. Word traveled quickly among stars and colonies. A species once underestimated was no longer confined by the constraints of the Galaxy Council. Humanity had rebuilt, innovated, and expanded beyond expectation. What had begun as survival had transformed into bold leadership, and now the Council could no longer ignore them. On Nova Prime, the heart of human operations, Dr. Elena Kaur stood before a massive holographic projection of the galaxy. Lines connected every human colony, exploration fleet, and research station. Colors pulsed, representing resources, communications, and energy grids, all fully independent of the Council. "Captain Voss," Elena said, pointing to the projection. "They're planning a direct intervention. The Council will send a fleet to negotiate or perhaps intimidate. We need to be ready." Ryan Voss, ever calm under pressure, studied the map. "Let them come. We're prepared. But this is not about confrontation. We lead with intelligence, not force. The Council's power comes from control. We turn it into opportunity." Elena nodded. "Exactly. Our advantage is courage, creativity, and unity. They cannot predict human strategy when it comes from collaboration and thought rather than fear." Within days, the Council's fleet appeared at the edge of human space. Sleek, imposing vessels drifted in formation, their technology far advanced yet strangely rigid. The Council's envoys transmitted a formal message. "Humans of Nova Prime, we seek negotiation. Your expansion and independence concern us. Compliance with Council oversight is expected." Elena reviewed the message with her team. "They think intimidation will work. They believe humans will fear or submit, but we have already shown them that courage and ingenuity are our true strengths." Ryan prepared the fleet for deployment, not for attack, but for demonstration. Ships moved in precise formations, showcasing adaptive energy grids, modular designs, and exploratory probes mapping sectors beyond Council control. Every maneuver displayed human innovation, not aggression. Meanwhile, Elena convened a council of human diplomats. "We will meet them in the neutral sector of Aurora Reach," she explained. "But we will not beg or plead. We will present a vision of cooperation that benefits all civilizations." Without sacrificing our independence, human envoys boarded their fastest vessels, carrying proposals, data, and examples of human accomplishments. They approached the Council fleet, lights reflecting across hulls in the vastness of space. For the first time, the Council saw humans not as subjects to control, but as equals capable of leadership and innovation. The negotiations began with tension, the Council attempting to assert authority, humans responding with clarity and evidence. Charts, projections, and demonstrations of newly developed technologies were presented. Colonies that had once struggled under sabotage now operated independently, each innovation a testament to human adaptability. "You have grown remarkably," one elder counselor admitted, tone tinged with respect, "but your expansion cannot go unchecked. There must be limits." Elena's response was calm, confident. "Limits exist when imposed by fear. Humans do not act out of fear. We act out of curiosity, cooperation, and courage. We do not conquer. We explore. We do not destroy. We innovate. And we offer the galaxy partnership built on shared knowledge, ethics, and progress." Ryan Voss added, "Your attempts to control us created opportunity. Your interference forced humanity to develop systems, technologies, and strategies that are now unmatched. Cooperation, not domination, is the path forward. Join us or simply observe. But know this. Humans will continue to grow whether under your oversight or not." Counselors whispered among themselves. The rigidity of their protocol had never encountered such logic, such clarity. Humans did not demand submission. They did not retaliate with force. Instead, they demonstrated the undeniable strength of courage, intelligence, and unity. One of the younger counselors leaned forward. "You speak boldly, humans. But what guarantees do we have that your growth will not destabilize the galaxy?" Elena smiled. "Our growth is guided by curiosity and ethics, not fear or conquest. We invite collaboration. We welcome oversight in the form of dialogue and transparency, but not control. Humanity thrives when challenged, when given freedom, and when working with others in trust. We have learned that lesson from your interference. Perhaps you should too." The meeting continued for cycles, with humans presenting solutions to resource sharing, communication networks, and exploration initiatives. Every proposal emphasized cooperation, efficiency, and ethical practice. The Council realized that while they had the technology and authority, humans had the foresight, creativity, and courage to apply knowledge in ways they could not anticipate. During the deliberations, one counselor remarked quietly to another, "We may have underestimated them. They are not just independent. They are leaders in thought and action." The elder counselor nodded slowly. "Yes, and we cannot suppress that without risking greater disruption. Perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach." Meanwhile, humans continued to showcase their adaptability. Exploratory fleets returned from uncharted sectors with new discoveries, energy sources, habitable planets, and ancient technologies long forgotten. Colonies operated seamlessly with autonomous systems that anticipated failures and optimized resources. Communication networks now linked dozens of planets, transmitting data instantly without reliance on Council satellites. Young engineers and scientists devised innovations that left even the Council's most advanced minds in awe. Adaptive habitats could relocate across planetary surfaces in response to environmental changes. Vehicles navigated complex asteroid fields and energy storms with artificial intelligence-guided precision. Humans were not merely surviving, they were leading, innovating, and redefining possibility. The turning point came when Elena presented a bold proposal, a new galaxy-wide cooperative framework. She outlined a system where knowledge and resources would be shared freely, ethical governance would guide interactions, and no single civilization could dominate the others. The Council could participate, but humans would retain autonomy in all their colonies and exploratory missions. For the first time, the Council hesitated. Some admired the audacity of the human proposal. Others feared the unpredictability of a species that refused to be controlled. The discussions were tense, but the clarity and courage of the humans won attention. This is unprecedented, one counselor admitted. A proposal from a single species that does not seek dominance but collaboration. And yet it carries weight. Perhaps the humans are showing us a path forward we had not considered. Elena spoke to the room, her voice steady and inspiring. Humans do not seek to rule. We seek to explore, to create, and to share. The Council can remain observers, participants, or partners. But we will not be constrained by fear, control, or betrayal. Courage, creativity, and cooperation define our species. These qualities are not weapons, but tools of progress. Let us use them together. The Council deliberated long into the cycles. By the end of the meeting, they reached a compromise. Humans would retain independence. Colonies would continue to develop freely, and a new cooperative framework would encourage collaboration without coercion. Rian Voss and Elena returned to Nova Prime with a sense of cautious triumph. The galaxy had witnessed human courage and ingenuity, and the Council had been forced to acknowledge it. Humanity had turned betrayal into opportunity, adversity into innovation, and confrontation into dialogue. On the observation deck, Elena reflected on the journey. They came with authority and expectation, she said softly. But they left recognizing that humans are not to be controlled. We act with courage, intelligence, and unity. That is our strength, Ryan smiled. And now we run, not away from challenge, but toward possibility. We will continue to explore, discover, and innovate on our own terms. The galaxy is ours to navigate, not dominate, and that is the true measure of our courage. In the colonies, celebration was subdued but proud. Engineers, scientists, and explorers knew that their efforts had shifted the balance. Humanity had not only survived the Council's interference, they had transformed it into a stepping stone toward leadership and collaboration in the galaxy. The stars beyond Nova Prime glimmered with promise. Exploratory fleets prepared for missions to previously unknown sectors. New colonies were planned on distant planets, equipped with autonomous systems and advanced technologies. Communication networks expanded further, connecting human achievements across the galaxy, and as humans moved forward, the Galaxy Council could only watch. They had been challenged, outmaneuvered, and inspired by a species they once sought to control. They had learned a lesson about courage, creativity, and collaboration, lessons that humans had lived every day. The turning point had arrived. Humanity was no longer constrained by betrayal, interference, or expectation. They had turned every obstacle into an opportunity, every challenge into a lesson, and every moment into a chance to prove that courage and ingenuity could overcome even the greatest of powers. For the first time in galactic history, humans were leading by example, not with force, but with intelligence, ethics, and unity. The galaxy was watching, and it would never underestimate them again. Humanity had come courageously. And now they would run, not in fear, but forward into a future of endless possibility. Word count. Bordon 500 words. The stars stretched endlessly before humanity, each one a promise, each one a challenge. After years of betrayal, adaptation, and triumph, humans had proven themselves to the galaxy, not through power or force, but through courage, creativity, and unity. The Galaxy Council, once confident in its control, had been forced to accept that humanity was different, unpredictable and unstoppable in spirit. On Nova Prime, the heart of human expansion, Dr. Elena Kaur stood on the observation deck. She watched fleets of human ships depart for distant sectors, their lights streaking across the darkness like threads of silver fire. Each vessel carried explorers, engineers, scientists, and dreamers, all eager to expand the boundaries of knowledge and possibility. Captain Voss, she said, turning to Ryan Voss. Look at them. They're not running in fear. They're running toward discovery. Ryan smiled. That's humanity. Always forward, always curious. Courage isn't just about standing still. It's about moving even when the unknown is vast. Humanity's colonies had flourished beyond expectation. Every settlement operated independently, yet every system was connected through a vast network of communication, energy, and resources. Each colony adapted its environment, transforming barren landscapes into thriving habitats. Crops grew in domes powered by self-sustaining energy cores. Water systems purified and recycled themselves. Every challenge was met with ingenuity, and every success strengthened the network of human civilization. Even in the face of the Galaxy Council's continued observation, humans thrived. Fleet commanders like Ryan led expeditions into sectors that had long been forgotten or overlooked. Explorers cataloged planets, mapped energy fields, and salvaged technologies from abandoned stations. Every mission returned with new tools, discoveries, and knowledge that enhanced human colonies even further. One day, the Dauntless returned from a distant sector with news that sent waves of excitement across the colonies. The crew had discovered an abandoned civilization, one that had existed thousands of cycles ago. Its archives contained advanced knowledge of energy manipulation, artificial intelligence, and interstellar navigation far beyond what even the Council controlled. Elena and her team immediately began decoding the data. Within weeks, they implemented systems that could analyze and predict cosmic phenomena with incredible accuracy. Colonies now had technology that allowed them to anticipate environmental changes, optimize energy usage, and communicate instantly across hundreds of light years. "This is remarkable," Elena said, reviewing the new projections. "Every challenge the Council threw at us has led to this. Every obstacle became an opportunity to grow, and now humanity is not just surviving, we are leading." Young prodigies across the colonies contributed to this growth. Teen engineers developed adaptive habitats capable of relocating themselves in response to planetary shifts. Scientists created AI systems that could solve complex problems without human intervention, freeing colonists to focus on exploration and innovation. Every generation added to humanity's legacy, proving that courage and ingenuity were not limited to age or experience. They were traits shared by all humans. Meanwhile, the Galaxy Council watched silently. They no longer attempted direct interference. They could see that their authority held little weight over human progress. Instead, they studied, analyzed, and slowly began to understand that humans did not respond to control, intimidation, or fear. They responded to challenge, collaboration, and opportunity. The Council's elder, who had once presided over the initial betrayal, now admitted quietly, "Perhaps humans are not meant to be controlled. Perhaps their purpose is to move forward, to explore, to innovate. We have underestimated them, and we will never do so again." Back on Nova Prime, Elena convened a meeting with leaders of all human colonies. Holographic projections displayed colonies, fleets, and exploration missions, each glowing brightly across the galaxy. "We have come a long way," she said, "from betrayal to triumph, from interference to independence. But our journey is just beginning. The galaxy is vast, full of knowledge, wonders, and challenges, and we will face it all, not as subjects, not as followers, but as humans united in courage and curiosity." Captain Voss addressed the gathering as well. "We do not run to escape. We run toward possibility. Every planet, every star, every mystery is a chance to learn, to grow, to prove what humanity can do when we act together. The Council may watch, but we are free to explore on our terms." Colonists cheered, their spirits high. They had learned to thrive without oversight, to innovate without fear, and to collaborate without boundaries. Humanity was no longer reactive. They were proactive, leaders in thought, action, and discovery. Exploration missions continued. Ships charted new sectors, discovering energy sources, habitable planets, and remnants of civilizations long gone. Every discovery was shared freely among human colonies, strengthening bonds and creating a network of knowledge no single civilization could monopolize. One team discovered a planet rich in minerals previously unknown to science. Engineers devised methods to harvest and refine these resources without harming the ecosystem. Another team found a natural energy phenomenon that could power an entire colony indefinitely. Human ingenuity transformed potential threats into opportunities for growth and prosperity. Even the youngest explorers contributed. Teenagers designed software to predict cosmic anomalies. Students developed new propulsion systems, and apprentices created energy-efficient habitats. The colonies flourished not because of imposed rules or control, but because humans thrived when challenged, when inspired, and when free to act. In the heart of the colonies, Dr. Elena Kaur reflected on humanity's journey. "We were betrayed," she said to Ryan, "but betrayal became our teacher. Interference became our challenge. And in every moment, humans chose courage over fear, creativity over obedience, and unity over division." Ryan nodded. "And now we run. We run toward discovery, knowledge, and possibility. The galaxy is vast, but no distance is too great for human courage and ingenuity." Meanwhile, the Galaxy Council had reached an understanding. They would no longer attempt to dominate humans, but they would observe, learn, and occasionally collaborate. They had seen that humans did not act predictably, but that unpredictability was a strength, not a weakness. Humans turned challenges into innovation, threats into opportunity, and betrayal into triumph. And so, humanity continued to expand, not as conquerors, but as pioneers, explorers, and innovators. Colonies thrived on distant planets, connected by advanced communication and energy networks. Exploration missions pushed deeper into the unknown, discovering resources, technology, and knowledge that strengthened the species as a whole. The story of betrayal had become the story of human courage. Every challenge from the Council, every obstacle in space, every unknown phenomenon had become an opportunity to demonstrate ingenuity, resilience, and unity. Humans had proven that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. In the vastness of space, humanity left its mark, not through conquest, but through progress, collaboration, and discovery. Colonies flourished, fleets explored, and knowledge expanded. Every human, from the youngest apprentice to the most seasoned explorer, contributed to a legacy that would endure across the stars. And as Elena looked out at the starlit expanse, she smiled. Humanity had come courageously. They had faced betrayal and adversity. They had turned challenges into opportunities and emerged stronger than ever. Now they ran, not from danger, not from fear, but toward a future they would shape with their own hands. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of, and it would never underestimate them again. Their legacy of courage, ingenuity, and unity would inspire generations of explorers, scientists, and dreamers for cycles to come. Humanity was free. Humanity was thriving. Humanity was leading, not by force but by example.